In the summer of 1983, the Whitaker family vanished without a single goodbye. They lived in a small farmhouse just outside Clearfield, Montana, to parents, 3 children, and a golden retriever named Buck. One morning, a neighbor noticed their screen door swinging open in the wind. The truck was in the driveway, dishes were still on the table, but the house was empty. The family was never seen again. No signs of struggle, no packed bags, nothing. Police launched an investigation that lasted months, but eventually the trail went cold. Locals started calling it the house that time forgot. The weirdest part, their mailbox. For over 3 decades, someone kept using it. First in 1987, then in 1994, again in 2002. Envelopes with fresh stamps, no return address, always addressed to Whitaker, always picked up. No one ever saw who did it. In 2017, a rookie mail carrier reported something strange. The mailbox had a new key lock, but the house was still abandoned. Curiosity spread like wildfire online. A local true crime blogger, Megan Ross, picked up the story and decided to investigate. What she uncovered would connect decades of strange sightings, unsolved disappearances, and one journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard in the Whitaker house. A journal with one sentence written over and over on the last page: "We never left." From that moment, Megan realized this wasn't just a missing person case. It was something darker, something buried, but never gone. Megan arrived at the abandoned Whitaker farmhouse just as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the cracked wooden porch. The air smelled of damp earth and forgotten memories. She stepped carefully inside, the floorboards creaking beneath her feet. Dust danced in the fading light, and every corner seemed to whisper secrets. Megan's flashlight flicked over peeling wallpaper and faded photographs still hanging on the walls, faces smiling from decades ago. She noticed a loose floorboard near the back of the living room and pried it open, revealing a small, leather-bound journal. Its pages were yellowed and brittle, but the handwriting inside was unmistakably neat. Megan flipped through quickly, her eyes catching a repeated phrase scrawled on the last page: "We never left." Her heart pounded as she read entries detailing strange noises in the woods, shadows moving just beyond the windows, and a growing fear that someone or something was watching the family. Suddenly, a soft tapping sound echoed from upstairs. Megan froze. Was it the wind? Or was someone else in the house? She called out, but only silence answered. Gathering her courage, she climbed the creaky stairs, each step groaning under her weight. At the top, she found a door slightly ajar, leading to a small bedroom where the golden retriever Buck's old collar lay abandoned on the floor. Megan swallowed hard. The past wasn't done with the Whitakers yet. Something was still here, waiting, and Megan was about to find out exactly what. Megan couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't alone in the house. The eerie silence was thick, broken only by the occasional creak of old wood settling. She ran her fingers over Buck's collar, cold and dusty, and noticed a small engraving, "Forever Loyal." A pang of sadness hit her. As she turned to leave the room, a faint whisper brushed past her ear, so soft she wasn't sure if it was real. Her flashlight beam scanned the hallway, revealing a staircase leading down into a dark basement. Megan hesitated, but knew she had to see what was hidden below. The basement door was heavy, coated in rust, and creaked loudly as she pushed it open. Inside, the air was damp and smelled of mildew. Boxes and old furniture were piled haphazardly. But in the corner, a small wooden chest caught her eye. She knelt to open it, revealing a collection of photographs, some torn and faded. Among them was a picture of the Whitaker family, smiling, unaware of the darkness to come. On the back of the photo was a handwritten note: "Don't trust the ones who smile." Megan's heart quickened. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging her into darkness. She fumbled for her phone to use its flashlight, but the beam illuminated something on the wall, a series of scratches, deep and frantic, as if someone or something had desperately tried to escape. The realization hit her hard. The Whitakers might have been trapped by more than just time. And silence. Something else was in that house, something that hadn't let them go. Megan's hands trembled as she studied the frantic scratches on the basement wall. They weren't random, they formed words. "Help me," they seemed to plead. A cold draft swept through the room, carrying whispers that made the hairs on Megan's neck stand on end. She swallowed hard and moved deeper into the basement, her flashlight barely piercing the darkness. The air grew heavier with each step, as if the house itself was holding its breath. In the far corner, she found an old wooden door, locked tight but with deep gouges around the frame. Megan's curiosity overpowered her fear, and she searched the cluttered basement for something to pry the door open. Moments later, the door creaked ajar, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downwards. The walls were damp, and the faint sound of dripping water echoed from below. With a deep breath, Megan descended, the darkness swallowing her whole. At the bottom, she entered a small chamber illuminated by a flickering candle. On the stone floor lay a faded blanket and a rusted tin box. She opened the box carefully, uncovering a stack of yellowed letters tied with a red ribbon. The letters were addressed to the Whitaker family, filled with cryptic warnings and pleas for help. Megan's heart raced as she read the final letter, written in shaky handwriting. "They never wanted us to leave. If you find this, stay away." Suddenly, the candle flickered violently and went out, plunging Megan into pitch black. A cold hand brushed her arm. She gasped and sprinted up the stairs, vowing never to return. But she knew the story wasn't over. Megan barely caught her breath as she burst out of the basement, the weight of what she'd discovered pressing down on her. Outside, the evening air was cool, a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness she'd escaped. Her mind raced with questions. Who wrote those letters? Who or what was keeping the Whitaker family captive all these years? Determined to find answers, Megan returned to her car and pulled out her laptop. Hours passed as she sifted through local archives, old newspapers, and police records. She found a recurring name, a man named Harold Pierce, a reclusive figure who lived nearby when the family disappeared. Rumors painted him as a strange and dangerous man, obsessed with the occult and known for his dark rituals. Megan dug deeper, uncovering reports of strange symbols carved into trees surrounding the Whitaker property, and neighbors speaking in hushed tones about eerie chanting heard late at night. The deeper Megan delved, the clearer it became. Harold Pierce was the missing link in the Whitakers' disappearance. But when she tried to contact him, she found his house abandoned, windows boarded up, and signs of a hasty departure. On her way back to town, Megan noticed a figure watching her from the edge of the forest. She blinked and the figure was gone. A chill ran down her spine. This investigation was no longer just about the past. Something dark was alive, watching her every move. Megan realized she was no longer the hunter. She had become the hunted. Megan knew she had to be careful. Every shadow seemed to move when she wasn't looking. The feeling of being watched grew stronger with each passing day. She decided to return to the town library, hoping to find more about Harold Pierce's past. Old newspapers revealed that Pierce had been accused of strange disappearances and rumors of occult practices. No charges were ever filed, but locals shunned him. Megan also discovered a hidden journal, written by Pierce himself, filled with cryptic notes about keeping the family close and protecting the secret. The last entry was chilling. "They will never leave. The bond is eternal." That night, Megan's phone rang. No caller ID. She ignored it. But the ringing didn't stop for minutes. Then, a whispered voice said, "You shouldn't have come here." The call ended abruptly. Shaken, Megan checked her house. Nothing seemed out of place. But the feeling of danger lingered. She realized the Whitaker mystery was far from over. Someone or something was warning her off. But Megan was determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. She was ready to face whatever darkness was hiding in the shadows. Megan's nights became restless. Every creak in the house made her jump. She set up cameras around her property, hoping to catch any strange activity. One morning, reviewing the footage, she saw a shadowy figure standing at the edge of her yard, just beyond the tree line. The figure didn't move, just watched. Megan felt a cold dread settle over her. She reached out to local historians, hoping to find more about Harold Pierce and the Whitaker family's fate. One elderly man told her a chilling tale. Decades ago, Pierce was rumored to perform rituals meant to bind souls to the land, trapping them forever. The locals believed the Whitakers were caught in such a ritual. Megan realized the horror wasn't just about disappearance. It was about being trapped in a place between worlds. Determined, she planned to visit the old forest clearing mentioned in the stories, the place where Pierce supposedly held his rituals. As she packed her gear, her phone buzzed with a new message. You can't run from what's waiting. The warning was clear. Megan's journey was leading her deeper into darkness, and turning back was no longer an option. Megan entered the forest clearing just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows through the twisted trees. The air was thick with silence, broken only by the crunch of leaves underfoot. In the center stood an ancient stone altar, covered in moss and strange carvings. Megan felt a cold breeze brush past her, as if unseen eyes were watching. She set up her camera and began to document everything, but her hands trembled. Suddenly, a low chanting echoed through the trees, growing louder and closer. Megan's heart pounded as she spun around, but saw nothing but darkness. A whisper floated on the wind. You belong here now. Panic surged through her veins, but she forced herself to stay calm. She remembered the journal's warning and knew she had to leave. As she turned to run, shadows stretched and twisted, blocking her path. The forest seemed alive, closing in. Megan felt hands grip her arms, cold and unyielding. Darkness swallowed her screams. The next morning, hikers found her abandoned camera near the clearing. On the memory card was one last image, a blurry figure with glowing eyes, staring straight into the lens. Megan was never seen again. The Whitaker mystery was never solved. But some say Megan's voice can still be heard in the woods, whispering warnings to those who dare come close.